The AU card gets updated for the 60th anniversary, the JetBlue Premier card might finally be viable, but JetBlue might also be going bankrupt next. This and more in today's roundup. Big favor, give us a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. For the first story, let's go to Sebby in the lab. Hi, yes, we have an update to element AU on the periodic table, also known as atomic number 79. For people that have been around, I can't really name it given some backend stuff, so my hands are a little bit tied here, but it is what it is. Just have to ride the wave at this point. So this is the 60th anniversary for the card, and we have a bunch of new changes. The good news is no annual fee jump. The last jump was $250 to $325 in July 2024, and a bit of me did expect a jump from $325 to $350 or $375 for this update, but they might be punting that to next year. I guess part of it too is that it could have been in poor taste, given that there's so much going on and yeah, not the greatest idea. So the annual fee is staying the same and the card is arguably getting better, at least a little bit, and we'll start at the permanent ones and then look into the limited time ones after. The biggest change for our purpose is the partner restaurants for the dining credit. Grubhub, the Cheesecake Factory, and Five Guys are sticking around, while Goldbelly and Wine.com are leaving, but you can still use it until June 30th. New additions are going to be Wonder and Buffalo Wild Wings. BWW feels like a solid addition. I'm a fan of it, but kind of curious what everyone thinks. At the same time, the nearest one to me is in Hayward, so about 38 minutes away, meaning that it's a non-factor for me anyways. The other new addition is Wonder, which I haven't heard of until now, but they're apparently pretty big. So they actually bought Grubhub back in 2024, and the total value of that deal was $650 million, and Wonder itself raised $600 million at a valuation of $7 billion. $7 billion is a pretty large company. It seems like they're mostly operating in the Northeast with a big foothold in New York and DC. Curious if anyone has used it though, and whether the prices are fair or a bit inflated. A new benefit is Hertz 5-star status, and you do need to enroll and register for Hertz Gold Plus in order to get this. The naming is a bit confusing, but Gold Plus is the name of the loyalty program. 5-star is their mid-level status, where you get 25% more points, a wider selection of premium vehicles, and free vehicle upgrades. It's not the craziest, but still nice to have. We are also seeing a multiplier jump for hotels that are booked through their portal or through their app, going from 2x to 5x. Technically a positive, but also depends on what other cards you have and the fact that you might already have travel covered. One big change is minimum spend. Before it was $6,000 in the first 6 months, and now it's jumping to $8,000 in the first 6 months. This isn't negative, but also arguably immaterial. 8,000 divided by 6 is 1,334 per month, which isn't too crazy. Absolute worst case, there's platforms out there that allow you to pay your rent with your credit card for a fee. Let's say you run the whole amount through the card, that's 8,000 times 3%, that's $240 in fees. That's the absolute worst case, but you're probably spending on dining and also groceries. It does depend on the bonus at the time, but it should cover $240. So for example, right now the offer is as high as 100K as bonus points. If you get the top offer and you redeem it as a statement credit, that's 0.6 cents per point, so that's 600 in value. Travel is 1 cent per point, so 1,000 in value. And then transfer partners, my target is 2 cents per point, so I'd want 2,000 in value. Beyond the permanent changes, there are some limited time anniversary benefits. Set your expectations. So the first one is Uber One membership, where you get a one-time statement credit of up to $96, and this is through October 30th. Not bad at all, and I like it, but you might already have it as well. Next one's a Hilton transfer bonus through May 30th, where you get a 20% transfer bonus. This one's fine, but we have seen better bonuses in the past, so not the biggest deal. Even though I do like Hilton's and especially Waldorf Astoria's and Conrad's, the value for the points is a bit rough, and free night rewards, free night certificates are kind of the meta. I'm not saying you shouldn't transfer, but run the numbers. They also are adding offers with merchants and hotel program offers, for example, complimentary third night. I'm sure some of them will be good and useful, but it's not necessarily related to the card and also feels a little hand-wavy. They normally have pretty good offers anyways, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think for most people, the big change is the partners changing for the dining credit. Also Hertz 5-star if you don't have President Circle. I would argue that's a net positive, even if it is a little immaterial. Let me know what you think, because opinions have been pretty mixed. On a side note, if you are someone that wants to learn about cards, whether this one or pretty much any other card out there, and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. For this card, there are a lot of credits, So if you want to run the numbers, we do have a calculator that should pop up if you search card name worth it AskSebby. I'll also link it down below. If you're looking to get points or miles outside of cards, then it might make sense to look into Rove. They're a rewards platform that allows you to earn miles on travel and everyday spending. Today, they just added Air Canada Aeroplan as a transfer partner. In the long term, Rove would transfer to Aeroplan at a 1-to-1 basis. Similar to a lot of their new partnerships, they do have a transfer bonus. You're going to get a 25% transfer bonus through June 6, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. During the promotion, 10,000 Rove is going to end up being 12.5k Aeroplan points. Aeroplan is changing up their reward chart, and we talked about it in the prior video, doing a deep dive. It's not the end of the world, but something to be cognizant of. I'd still probably have a plan before transferring. If you are new and you want to check out Rove, go to AskSebby.com/Rove to get an extra 1,500 miles when creating an account. The standard link is just 500, so you're getting 1,000 more. Worst case, you're getting miles for checking it out, and best case, you find a good use case. The meta right now is checking for hotels, especially when you're getting 25x back. The math has the math, but worth that 30-second check, especially if the prices end up being the same as elsewhere. Moving on, let's look at another card update. We're seeing new benefits being added to the JetBlue Premier card. This is a $4.99 annual fee card that launched in early 2025 to pretty lukewarm reception. If anything, I'd argue that it flopped. They just updated their perks, which might change the math for a lot of people. You're going to get up to 300 in annual statement credits for hotels, rental cars, and cruises through TrueBlue Travel. No minimum on nights or spending, so pretty easy to get value. Pretty solid, especially compared to the old credit, which was not ideal. Before, it was a $50 statement credit each time you spent $250 or more in their portal, and it was up to 6 times per year. So before, they wanted you to spend at least $1,500 through 6 purchases, and now you can use it all in one go, just to $300. With the card, you're also now getting a 15% redemption rebate when you're using your points for award flights on either JetBlue or partner airlines. This can be pretty huge, and it's a jump from the prior 10%. We'll get a bit more into this, but JetBlue has been a bit of a sleeper, especially for premium travel. If you are putting a bunch of spend on the card, you can earn Companion Pass statement credits. There's 2 tranches. The first one is a Companion Pass of up to 500 value after you spend 15,000 in a calendar year. It is a lot of spend, but think of it as a repeatable boost. 500 value divided by 15,000 spend is 3.3% return on spend. They also have a second tranche. Here you earn a Companion Pass up to 1,500 value after you spend 75,000 in a calendar year. 75 minus 15 is 60,000 above the prior tranche. 1,500 value divided by 60,000 additional spend is 2.5% return on spend. It also is a little bit annoying, but not too bad. You have to book this and pay for this, so it has to be your reservation. You then apply to pass, and then you receive a statement credit only if you both travel. Last up is Elite Status. You get 25 tile bonuses at the beginning of each calendar year. You get this by just holding the card. 25 puts you halfway to Mosaic 1, which requires 50. Even if you don't fly a ton, you can spend your way to status as well. So you get 1 tile for every 1,000 in spend that you do with the card. You're probably not doing it from scratch, but if we run the numbers, assuming that you were, for Mosaic 1, you need 50 minus 25 from the card, so 25 additional, means you need to spend 25,000 to hit the status. For Mosaic 2, it's 75,000, 3 is 125,000, and then finally for Mosaic 4, the top level status, it's 225,000. So quite a bit of spend, and I would argue that 4 is probably the sweet spot. I guess technically 3 could also be valuable, but 1 and 2 are not really worth chasing to me. For Mosaic 3, you get 4 certificates for Move to Mint, and then Mosaic 4, you get 4 more certificates from 3, so 8 in total. Last one's a bit weird. The card now has up to 14 monthly credits to use for ClassPass. This is a monthly fitness app to book classes and other wellness stuff, so good if you're into berries, yoga, cycling, or boxing, or a lot of other things in between. One thing to note is that 14 credits isn't necessarily 14 classes. Each class charges a different rate, and it's usually based off the retail price and time of day. Midday during less busy times or late into the night, it's going to be cheaper. For a lot of their premier partners, let's say Barry's Bootcamp, it's usually always going to be expensive in that 13 to 15 range. Think of 14 credits as 1 good workout every month, which isn't bad. I usually end up buying a bunch of passes during the holiday sales, but it still ends up being about $25 to $29 per class, so not cheap at all. ClassPass perk is arguably $20 to $25 in value for me every month if I were to get the card, since I go anyways. If we're looking for different studios, let's say smaller, more bespoke ones, that might end up being 2 classes, and if you prefer more going to the gym, that might be 3 to 7 visits to the gym for open sessions, so working out by yourself. I know people hate credits, but it fits their market. New York is a monster hub for JetBlue, and New York is also a big market, if not the biggest, for ClassPass. I'm probably biased since I like and have used ClassPass, but I think it's a solid credit. Even if you don't care about that though, the card has a superpower. So it gives you access to Blue House, which is their new lounge in JFK, and it looks pretty nice. You get a space to work and relax, and also fresh food and a full bar. Design-wise, kind of reminds me of KLM and more European design for whatever reason. But yeah, not bad at all. If you have the card and you're not flying basic economy, then you can access the lounge. With the card, it's U+1 guest, and that's the same for Mosaic 4 status, where it's U+1, so 2 total. The other option is flying JetBlue Transatlantic and Mint, let's say from New York to Paris. In that case, it's just yourself. Call me crazy, but the card feels pretty overpowered here. The alternative is flying a ton or spending a ton on the card to hit Mosaic 4, so their top level status. Otherwise, everyone else going in is flying transatlantic business to Europe, so not even JFK to LA or SFO, those do not count. They also are adding a new lounge in Boston by mid-2026, so it should get interesting. Fort Lauderdale is going to be the third one, but for that one, there's not a date yet. Let me know what you think, but the math doesn't seem that bad. $499 annual fee minus 300 intangible credits is a $199 effective annual fee. If you value ClassPass, then you might be breaking even or coming out ahead. Even if not though, you still get the other benefits that we talked about, and $199 effective annual fee for a lounge membership isn't bad at all, especially when other airlines charge close to $700 for a membership, and that's for one person, and then for 2 people, that's closer to $1,500. For JetBlue, that $199 effective annual fee is U+1. I guess the downside is footprint and locations. In the foreseeable future, it's East Coast, New York, Boston, and Fort Lauderdale. Also, as someone on the West Coast, as much as I want to like JetBlue, it's pretty tough. If I was in New York, it'd be a different story, and I'd probably get the card. Right now, even though the math can work, I don't think I'm going to be able to use the lounges enough, so might not be worth it there. Doing a quick sanity check for SFO, it's not on the top 5. I think the main flights are just SFO to New York. Even going across the bridge to Oakland, same situation. It's mostly a Southwest hub. JetBlue's not in the mix. If I was in New York, then it's a different ballgame. For JFK, JetBlue's number 2 at 23.4% market share and almost 15 million passengers. Heading up to Boston, they're number 1, 27%, and 9 million passengers. I might get it for the bonus, but not sure if I'd keep it. Speaking of which, JetBlue has also recently partnered with China Airlines. This is Taiwan's biggest airline. You're now going to be able to redeem True Blue points for their flights. This seems to include both standard economy and also premium cabins, so we might have a new booking option. I'm not seeing availability yet for the premium cabins, so might be delayed. But yeah, JetBlue is one of the more underrated programs for some specific partners and sweet spots. For example, you can book Toronto to Frankfurt in business for 45,000 points. It's through Condor, and there's a pretty good number of seats and minimum fees at about $70. It does depend on the plane, but doesn't seem bad for 45,000 points and might be worth doing a 2-in-1 trip, so doing Toronto and then Frankfurt, or just repositioning. From Boston or JFK, Dublin's a great choice, and right now it's at 88.3K. This is for JetBlue Mint in the A321, and it is a pretty short flight at 6 hours, but not a bad hop. So we did fly this to Paris from Boston, and it wasn't bad at all. The layout can feel a little bit cramped if you are a bit wider in the shoulder side, but still a good flight. I'd happily do it again if the routing was right and I was going where I wanted to go. For Dallas, DC, or New York, Doha's another one to consider, and this is 90K to 98K. Probably not exactly right now, but maybe in a few months. For example, Dallas to Doha is available for July 1st, 90,000 points and $7 in fees. It is a 14.5 hour flight, so plenty of time to enjoy business class. It also is of Qatar, so you're not flying JetBlue here, you're using JetBlue points for their partners. We'll see where prices fall for China Airlines, but they have a pretty good hard product and soft product, and I actually like their food, so I want to fly them again anyways. Their current dining partner is a 1 Michelin-starred restaurant called T+T. In the past, they worked with La Palais, which is the only 3 Michelin-starred restaurant in Taiwan. I guess the one concern of getting their cards and maybe too many of their points is a bankruptcy. A lot of people do feel like they're on the chopping block, and the main reason is that they have almost $9 billion in debt. They're also on track to lose $1 billion this year. They also haven't made money in the last 6 years. JetBlue does want to sell itself to another carrier, with United, Alaska, and Southwest being the front runners. The sale process hasn't really gone well. For example, United doesn't want to seem to touch them with a stick. Instead, United is going after American Airlines. Back to JetBlue, they're in a weird spot. Before, they did try to acquire Spirit, seeing it as a growth opportunity. That got blocked, and now Spirit's bankrupt. Since then though, compared to the other airlines and even Alaska, it seems like they've been treading water and not doing much. At this point, there's a lot of fear, at least externally. Internally though, it seems like 2026 is still going to be fine, and the current CEO ruled out going bankrupt this year. The main reason being that they secured $500 million in debt financing. They ended up using 22 aircrafts as collateral, and then they have the option to raise an additional $250 million if needed. That would involve using more planes as collateral, so there is still a bit of risk there. Looking at the stock price for the 12th month, it actually doesn't seem that bad, so they're up 13%, which isn't as good as the big three, but you'd expect worse. Looking at the chart, Delta's a standout at 61.9%, and United's about halfway there at 32.7%. The 5-year paints a very different picture. Zooming out, JetBlue's down 74%, American down 41%, United up 82%, and then Delta is only up 59%. But yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster for the last few years for airlines, given everything that's gone on. Back to JetBlue, they're fine for 2026, but we don't really know what's going to happen in 2027, especially if the situation drags on. On our end, there's non-zero risk. At the same time, it's an argument to earn and burn and to pretty much use the points and miles when you have a chance, so that even if something happens, it's not the biggest deal. We are kind of seeing this in real time with the Spirit cards. They're still active, you can use them, but you're not earning any points anymore. They did refund the annual fees, which is nice. I am a bit curious what happens to the points, since from my understanding, it's towards the bottom of the stack for bankruptcy. You have secured debt on top, you have unsecured, and then a bunch of other stuff in the middle, and then I feel like points are in that bottom bit. I guess it might be like gift cards where technically it's not protected, but in certain states it is protected, so we'll see what happens. If you did have Spirit points, I'm curious how big your stash was. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a stick of butter emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the changes to Atomic number 79? Number 2, are you a fan of the updated JetBlue Premier card, and is it something you'd get, or still not really? Also, number 3, do you think JetBlue is going to go bankrupt? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.